College of Engineering. As a part of introduction, I'll just give you a quick background on how I went about understanding how Bharatiya Samskriti is so rich and still we have untouched in implementing to the current technical knowledge. So I would had visited Arbindo Ashram to understand how teaching methods take place there. So I would start with the quotes on what is education by Sri Aurobindo, mother, and of course Swami Vivekananda. I would also touch upon indigenous methods. How are my 21st century learners? And what is their learning ability of the present Gen Z kids whom we call these days? And what is that learning skill present children hold? Yeah, and how do we address it? After having a complete thorough study in my postdoc work on these, I came up with a proof of methodology which could be adapted for computer science engineering, because I predominantly working as a faculty in the same area. So if you see, to start with, Sri Aurobindo on education, he says education is to live for humanity, for the country, for others, and for oneself, and by the practice of religious life. So he felt education was nothing to do with any of these technical skill sets we are teaching the children, but something you do for the humanity, something you do for the country, that makes you proud. Indian knowledge system has come in, has pitched in for the very reason that we are not giving back to the society, and our culture says that you live for others and not for yourself. Yeah. So with that aspect, he said that the one which you do for yourself is on the spiritual path, where you self train and exercise on how you keep yourself very comfortable on understanding how you can give back to the humanity. He also said that there are five principal activities of being a human, where you take care of the physical life, the vital act in our body, the mental, the psychic, and the spiritual. And education actually needs to address all these five. Currently, what we see is just the very very base minimal level, where we hardly look into any of the mental, psychic, or the spiritual path. Especially when it comes to engineering course, where I have been teaching, some of the schools and colleges do incorporate some of it to a large extent. You can always debate on that. I'm sure as teachers on all of you on the other side would agree on that. One of the power of reasoning can happen through training. Yeah. So he says reasoning, comparison, and differentiation plays a very important role while you are actually getting an education, and the power of expression. So when you express what you have learned, that's what education is all about. And this would require your attention and concentration. So, attention and concentration are the most base minimal thing which anyone needs to, have a good hold on, to ensure that they have, understood things properly. So, for that expression of the education or what they have got learned requires these two aspects. So, Sri Aurobindo had already addressed it long back. Mother continued with the Sri Aurobindo's concept, and she said science of living is by aim and concentration. So you need an aim. Without an aim, how would you, go towards it? Like Ekalavya wanted to learn the archery. Yeah, he had that aim, he had the desire. So that desire is very important. And Eklavya, when he understood the mastery over the archery, he had an immense concentration and nothing affected him. Without even a guru, he learned. So the science of living is with an aim and concentration. Mother also said that the five principal aspect is very important, and she said that a quiet mind can conquer much more things than a mind with lot of thoughts. So to have that, you need concentration. So when we are concentrating on something, you're actually focused. So simply said that focusedness will come when you have a good concentration. So mother was aiming on telling that you need an aim and concentration, and that is also very correct in our required for anybody to see how their education is fulfilled. If you see Swami Vivekananda's quote on education, he says, real education is what which enables one to stand on his own leg. Again, he said power of concentration and detachment. He emphasized on detachment. The word detachment here means to say that you are not worried about the results. Your whole aim is to see how you can go ahead with whatever you have actually thought as an aim. Yeah. So the detachment will not tell you not to grow further, because you know that you've done your job very well and you don't have to worry about it. So education which does not help the common mass, yeah, it's no use. Yeah. So which does not bring a good character, a spirit of philanthropy, and the courage like a lion is not worth an education. So he said that again, giving back to the society is what education is. Live with courage, you know live with the strength of the character. So if somebody has been looking forward for you to telling that yes, this person is worth listening to, it's because of the character and the discipline they would have maintained in their life. So Swami Vivekananda actually is the best person, and all as an educator, I request you to read the books on at least these three, because education for us these days is all about how our kids can make money and go abroad. It's not true. Yeah, you can still say in your own Bharat country, where so many options are there, and we can really tell our children that they can do everything here. But giving back to the society is what needs to be emphasized here. So with this said, if you see our indigenous method, even before you go back to your Puranas, we spoke about Panchakoshas. The Panchakosha starts with Annamaya Kosha, which is our physical body. Currently, most of us have been taking care very well, understanding good food, our food, our lifestyle, the kind of exercise we do, whether it could be yoga, it could be gym, it could be a simple walk early in the morning, but very very essential. And we need to take care of this. If I'm unwell today, how would I present, right? So Annamaya Kosha is very essential to ensure that you have healthy food, take care of your body, so that you can think of the next level. So the next level is your pranamaya kosha, where you see we believe in aura, nadis, and chakras, which are physically in our, although it is invisible, but present in our body. So this is where you need to address through pranayam. Pranayam plays a very important role, because controlling your breath indicates that how you can increase your concentration. So controlling the breath doesn't mean that you're doing some inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. It's to see that how you can actually focus on one thing for a long time. And pranayam actually helps you to achieve that concentration. So pranayam is very, very essential. I think all of us should practice at least 10 minutes of pranayam anytime. A pranayam is one thing which you can perform throughout the day, anytime, full stomach, empty stomach, anything, preferably early in the morning. But if not, throughout the day, whenever you're free for 10 minutes, or where you're stressed, you have a lot of pressure from your HODs or the higher ups in the college, do 2 3 small short, long breathing, deep inhale and slow exhale, and this really helps. You should all try this out. After this, beyond your manomaya kosha, where you look into your feelings, your likes, your dislikes, your fear. Some of us fear even to present, right? Probably if I had a big crowd in front of me, I would probably get fear, what other person would look, feel about how I'm talking or presenting. So these actually gets reduced. You need to address on a very daily basis. So that's your daily mind, which where you feed your mind with positive thoughts. That's why they say start your day with reading Bhagavad Gita, reading a good book which helps you, which feeds your mind with good thoughts. Sometimes when you start your day with the thought for the day, and that day that thought would have actually helped you to stay calmer, because you know that everything is not always perfect. There is always up and down. Yeah. So how do you deal with the down is more important than how do you deal with up, because up many people will be there, but when it is down, it's only you have to take care. So this Mahamaya Kosha would help you to do that. So feed your mind with good thoughts. Yeah. Vijnanamaya Kosha is the next higher mind, which is your inner consciousness, wherein your subconscious also you're a true person. You're true to your heart, your work is done. Yeah. So that you're doing the right work. Thankfully, our education field, at least We are all teachers. We are in the most respectable position. You might have experienced this with all your students who come back to you after a few years after they graduate. You feel so happy when you see them when they're growing, and they feel so loving when they come back telling that, man, you taught this subject, and that's why I have grown to that position. So your inner voice should be always telling that you are doing something back to the society. And at least our field is without even your knowledge, you're contributing to the society. If no one has thought of it, you are already in place there. Okay. So the last one is Anandamaya Kosha, which is your blissfulness, where you're being self with the nature. Because recently we finished Ratha Saptami, and Ratha Saptami says that how you're close to your nature. You learn from the trees, you learn from Surya Bhagwan, where not even one day he would have said that today I'm tired, let me sleep 1 minute extra and come back to you. He's never missed his orbit round the in our galaxy, and never said that I'm not going to go round, though I'm in the center, let other grahas go around me. But he's never complained about that I should not put my shadow there. So we should be like Surya Bhagwan, where we share our wisdom, share what we have learned, and keep people, especially students, in a very well stable state. So with this indigenous methods, what we have learned is today we look at in the current present generation, who are my 21st century learners, or the Gen Z students. They look into three things: knowledge, skill, and character. Now what is that? They look in knowledge, what we know and understand. Yeah, so they are actually looking into the interdisciplinary kind of aspect, because these days everything is about generative AI, how people can use this chat GPT to do support many more things. So when so much of exposure is there to children, then what is that they can do beyond it? What can teachers give them? So they're always looking for that extra thing from you. So we have an extra and responsibility, where we share more than what ChatGPT can give. So we should be well prepared always for our class. Otherwise, students will, you're not in connect with the students. Skills, how do we use it? What we know, you have taught so many, probably if you see my computer science engineering course, they would have learned so many programming language. Let's say Python. Where do they apply? How do they apply? All this needs to be told them. And then once they get interested in your subjects, they never go back. Yeah. Along with this very important thing, which is predominantly important, is the character. How we behave, engage in the world. All this is very, very essential. And these days, this character thing is dropping down. Their knowledge anyway they have, skill anyway they will learn. What needs to be addressed is the character. And now, how do I tell them this character is important? Indian knowledge system is the platform for us. You know, do I know what my culture said? Am I proud of my Bharatiya system? Am I a fit into the modern world? Because students are exposed to the other world of the of the globe, where their lifestyle is only totally different. Yeah, we should take the best practice, no doubt. Yeah, they are also doing well, they are also progressing very evenly. And how can my Bharat also move to that position without leaving our culture? Our culture plays a very, very important role. So this meta learning can happen only when we reflect and adapt. Yeah, so my classroom always goes on telling the importance of our culture, the importance on how I do it. Yeah, these days students observe and learn. They see you, are you practicing? Are you really doing it? When you do it, automatically they do it. You don't even need to tell that. See, there's a subject called as Universal Human Language or Indian Knowledge System, take the course. They will just take it out of interest, because you would have motivated them, telling that there's so much of importance in it. So that metacognition growth of mindset is the most essential thing, which we need to sensitize in the present 21st century learners. With this said, there are two kinds of learning skills which our Gen Z kids are. They're self-directed learners. No more, like our classroom method will hit them. It's not going to make an impact at all. They're self-directed. So you need to give them a direction on how can they learn. And they're all experiential learners. You need to give them an experiment, give an hands-on, do some collaborative learning, Ask the senior students to teach the junior students, call industry experts. You also learn along with that. That's where they learn. Yeah. So the learning skills happen because of that. So what we need to understand is, oh, if my students are like this, how do I change my lesson plan? That's very important, because you can't deliver. I am sure you all would have faced this problem. You have a fixed curriculum. You have to go through the same content. You have to finish in 40 hours. But with that said, at least 2 3 sessions in that 40 or 50 hours of course what you have, can you do something extra like what I'm going to show you in after some time? Can you give that experiential learning to them where they find the subject interesting, also connect to our tradition so that they have a respect to our tradition? So the crucial challenge over here when you do all this is the attention span. The present learners, see, when during my time in 1990s, our attention span was 15 to 18 minutes. But today's generation, it is 10 minutes. One survey of Microsoft says only 8 seconds. People who are especially who are, more usage of mobile is there, who see Insta reels more often, their attention span is only 8 seconds. That's why they keep shifting. They see what happened, what is a trending thing, who is an influencer. They're more on, how do they promote themselves than, what they have to do. So with this challenge, with among our students, it becomes your important role on how you can make your classroom room very, very interesting. uh, I hope all of you are getting this. I can get one or two response. Am I fast? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. With that said, what I have done or what am I going to present to you is my postdoc work, which I've been following for the past 7 years now. I was trying to see how I can bridge the gap between teaching and learning in engineering education, but I'm sure you can apply to any of your domains also for sure. And sometimes you may not know which method to choose. So I have come up with a plan for that. I have blended the Western method as well as our Bharat system of education. So I'm going to show you that on how I went about, so that the teacher gets to know that this is the best method I can choose for delivering the course, and helps the teacher to understand the composition of the class in terms of learning style. So one is you need to know the method, and the most important thing is you need to know what are the learning style of your students. I have 75 in my class. Yeah. And I hardly teach them for 40 hours. In 40 hours, it's very hard to get connected to 70 of them individually. So how do I get to know their learning style? So there are some survey forms which I'm going to share with you now slowly. So that will help you to understand the learning style of the student, and then we'll see the teaching methods which you can adopt. This will help the students in getting the classroom sessions better, and the learning becomes more interesting. So that's the advantage of this method. And it also gives you an idea what is the strength, the weakness of your student. Even before you enter your first class, especially your first class, you should understand the background of your student, whether my student is from rural background, urban background, are they management student or CET students, where, how did they enter, all this study will help you to understand that, you have a very mixed kind of class, and you need to address, especially when they come from a very rural background, some extra care you need to take, because they would not suddenly blend with the urban area kids very well. It's very hard for them. So you should give them lot of individual talks with them, so that they get the confidence that they can also do well. They really are very, very bright students than my urban children. My urban children would require all such course, but where my kids who come from my rural background, they don't even require this, because automatically their culture also, they brought up the society in which they live, all this would have been a part of it. So they're more humble, they're more at least in my experience, I've seen them very, very down to earth. So where my urban children students are very, very challenging for me sometimes to handle. Sometimes the positions play, help you in getting them under control, but that's only a controlling part, which should not happen. Teaching and learning should go very, very handy and smooth. Okay. With that said, so today the remaining flow, I would tell the objective on how I started, the methodology which I have implemented, then how do you identify this learning style among the children. Then I will tell you the mapping of teaching method. I'll show you my results which I have got, and they are available on Google. You can look into those papers, which can probably give you a better, deeper insight on that. And I'll conclude, and you can we can have a follow up questions based on that. In between, if you think you need you have any question, please you can put your questions in the chat box, because right now I'll not be able to see the message box. So after the end of the my talk on this, I'll take the questions and I'll be able to answer it. Okay. So the objective of my study was to identify the learning ability of my students. So even before I could get into my class, I wanted to know what is my learning ability of the student. So I would do that, and then after I get that, I will tell you how I did go on getting the learning ability. I would extract the suitable methods from my prehistoric Bharatiya learning system. So I've used 41 methods of learning system. So I'll share that with you, and you can also apply wherever applicable. So after my learning ability, I would map them to these, and I will get to know which is the best method to choose for a given talk. Okay. And finally, the applicability of this would be for computer science engineering course, because I predominantly worked on it. So this is how I went about applying for it. Okay. The methodology is, first thing, as I said, you identify the learning ability in a given class. Then based on their strength, you classify the students. Next, you apply. The apply thing is to propose the learning methods for your uh, class of strength, and to analyze whether the methods was useful. So that's how I tested, and we will see. So the very first thing is the recommender model. So the recommender model would work like this. So I have a learning model where student, if you see, let me highlight this. So you take the student survey and then the course content. Okay. So if you give it to the learning model based on your course content and the student survey, the recommender system will tell you what kind of teaching method you have to use. So to know the teaching method, the input to your recommender system is the learning style and the teaching style. So to this recommender system, you should feed both of this. So for a given course, what are the possible learning style and what are the possible style of teaching? So if you feed these two, it will be able to recommend the best thing, because you have a learning model where the learning model would have been based on your course student survey. Why you need to take student survey is every class is different, because students are different. So the recommender system for a given same course in a year need not be the same, right? Because your student strength is different, no? So based on that, your recommender will tell which is the best for suitable to students. So it is more on student focused. So that's why it is a more helpful model. Okay. So if you see, this is the principle behind the index of learning style. So this is the one which will tell you what kind of learners you have in the class. It is a basically, if you Google on this, you will get to know the questions. What is the AB option, which I will discuss now. And there are four axes. The first axis is on whether the student is an active or reflexive learner. The second category is whether this a visual learner or a verbal learner. The third category is whether they're sequential or global learner. And the fourth category is sensing or intuitive. Okay. So these are the four axes which your index of learning style will give you. Now, what is this index of learning style? It was formulated by Richard M. Fedler and Linda S. Silverman in 1996. Okay. And it is to basically validate what kind of students you have, what is their learning style. So that's the advantage of it. Now, what does it hold? It has a 44 question with AB question in it. You submit that survey and you will get your four preference, and the reports are given you back. It's an open source. Anytime any one of you can take it, and you will get to know. You can test for yourself. So you will also get to know your strength. Yeah. And then you can give it to your students. Now, this is I've just put a screenshot of one of my students' output, where you see that he has got one for reflexive, one for intuitive, five for visual learner, and three for sequential learner. Now, what do you understand by this? The student is more a visual learner and a little more of sequential learner, but his intuitive and reflexiveness is lesser. When other skill set, he is not, he would not probably learn it from at all. So in case your classroom is only a verbal, like one way, currently my presentation is more on verbal, okay. So if it is one way, then this student will not understand only what I have said. But have had I shown like graphs like this, suddenly he'll become alert in the class. So he's like, oh wow, nice, I'm a visual learner. So that is why I'm not understanding when somebody teaches me in theory, is what he will understand. Okay. Sequential is, he wants things in breaks. He doesn't want an overview superficial level. You can't give him only a summary and tell him you will go in depth. He will not understand that. That was what global means. Sequential means you have to teach him one step, and then he will follow the next step, and then he will follow the next step. So you have to break down the complex problem into smaller problems and then give him. Then he would understand this. Okay. So this is one analysis of this report which I've given you. So you can do the analysis accordingly. Oh, I have built, because we are all programmers, no? So we built a Python code to do this, and for the whole class we took, and it gave an average score of the class. I will show you that. So this is your, the learning style index of the learning style, where you get to know your students' learning style. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, what you need to remember is, students remember 90% of what they say and do something, not what we say. So if a student is talking something, he will remember that for sure. And if he does something, he will remember. Most of the time, it is what teachers are saying. 90% of teachers are saying, and we are doing something. Students are not allowed to say. That goes wrong. Okay. Indigenous method says 90% of the time, students should say and do something, not the teachers. Okay. Uh, one I have taken it from the help of a professor from Veda Vijnana Gurukula, Dr. Suresh, who's a Sanskrit teacher whose PhD work was on the learning style. There are 51 learning styles which are available in our ancient scripts. Okay. And that I have divided into following four category. The first one is Veda Adhigamana Vidhis. There are 11 of such category. Okay. Now, Veda Adhigamana Vidhi are only on how we pronounce our Sanskrit, pronunciation, because it's hard to pronounce Sanskrit properly, right? So these 11 methods we cannot apply. The remaining methods we can apply. Okay. So out of this 51, 11 will go off. Remaining you can apply. Okay. So because we as teachers, we don't have anything where I have to split. Unlike English, you need not. If you split and talk, then no one would understand. There is a way you pronounce English in full word, right? Full phrase. So this technique is only for Sanskrit language and nothing else. Okay. So those who are interested can go through that. The remaining three, as you see, is the pramanas, which are six. Shastra Adhigamana Vidhis are 20, and Vyavahara Vidhis are 14. So these make our skill set which are applicable for engineering course or any course wherever you're teaching. Okay. I hope this is clear. So this is where your teaching styles you can pick from. So previously what I said, ILS was the student style of learning. So once you know your student style of learning, then you see for that which among these 40 methods you can apply for your teaching. Okay. So let's look into all of them 40. I'll quickly go through it, and which will give you an idea on what is there in our literature. I am sure you would have heard of the word flipped class, blended method, yeah, think, pair, share, yeah. So visible quiz. There are so many different kind of teaching methods which you can go back and take to your class. Now you won't believe, already these are the methods which are discussed in our ancient script. Only thing is we have not, you know, gone into depth of it and understood, because we don't have time for it, and ChatGPT will not know it. Correct. So let's quickly look into the pramanas. So the first one is the pratyaksha vidhi, how things are operative in nature. The visual knowledge, the right knowledge is delivered here. The knowledge is both sensory organ and has an impact on mental perception. Now, for example, if you're working as an agricultural professor, yeah, or something to do with nature on soil analysis, or civil engineer, mechanical engineer, these are the ones which are very close to nature work. So you have to take them out. You have to explain with touching the real soil, telling them what is the difference, what this color of the soil mean. Yeah. So this is where Pratyaksha Vidhi comes into picture. Okay. So depending on the subject and kind of course you're delivering, you can do that. You can also apply for programming language. Like for example, let's say you're teaching Python. Yeah. Rather than you writing the code on the board from left to right, ask them to use some online compilers, where in the class itself they compile, they visualize what you're teaching, and they map what you have said on the board or what you're talking, and they get an output. That's a true impact on their brain, and they will never forget. So they're using their sensory organ, they're using their brain, and their attention span is low. You've asked them to use the mobile, they're very happy about it, and it has a huge impact on their brain, because most of the students go back and learn extra. You give them an assignment, some of them are so enthusiastic, they come back and tell you about it also, on what the output they got. So you can apply this pratyaksha vidhi depending on the session and the class you're going to take. The next one is Anumana Vidhi. Here it is defined by inference, comparison, postulate, yeah, where you have knowledge of one thing and another knowledge is derived of it. You ask questions, you compare. Oh, when you compare, you get another result. With that result, you have another comparison. This is how Anumana Vidhi goes about. Okay. Upamana Vidhi it deals with comparison and then to learn. First, you do all the comparison, and then you would have got the result, and then you conclude that yes, this is the right way of doing it. The small difference between Anumana and Upamana is, Upamana is only on comparison, whereas Anumana you doubt, you infer, you come up with a new postulate, you also argue on that, and you derive knowledge out of it. Yes, wrong, correct, no. Like, somebody asks you to make tea, and you don't know how to make tea at all. Some say put ginger, some say put pepper, some say no, put lavang, it's very nice, it'll give a new flavor. So you doubt every time, because you won't have tasted such a tea, and then you make up that tea and then try to derive another knowledge of it. And when you taste and yes, you've experimented really, and you know that it works out. So like that, Upamana and Anumana Vidhi are different. So next is the Shastra Adhigamana Vidhi. So here what you have to see is Adhikarana Vidhi. Here different key concepts are put in chapter form to convey the content. So this is what we do, like your textbooks, where you standardize, how the chapters should form, how one chapter is connected to the other one, and how do you convey the content is Adhikarana. Okay. Adya Rupa Apavada Vidhi is negation method. Yeah. The best way student learn is tell the reverse and ask him to come up with the right answer. Yeah. When you negate, and that's the highest realization of knowledge, it seems. You tell that this is wrong. So if this is wrong, you find out why it is wrong and come up with the right solution. So when you do this, actually what happens is, you made the student conscious about that things can go wrong if I do like this, and so they'll be very careful while they learn. Also, they will do on a study on why it went wrong. They are gradually learning, and they become a very good student with you. Like this, you have so many different aspects here. Okay, Bhashyavidhi is a systematic method of development of learnt aspect known as uh, commentary methods. Like like how this cricket commentary goes on. You're very happy listening to what Kapil Dev did, Sachin Tendulkar did. Why are the youngsters like Rahul is not able to do all this? As a continuous commentary. You listen and you understand how cricket is actually played, how it was played, what is happening now, and you learn from that bhashya. Okay. Drishtanta Vidhi is referred to an analogy method where it deals with unseen and subtle issues of the world. So something which is not visible, which you're not sure of, and you need to go towards the result. You need to get the desire towards that. That's the analogy method. Yeah, you relate one method to another and try to come up with a solution for that which you cannot see, and then you visualize with whatever knowledge you have gained, and that's how you do the drishtanta vidhi. Okay. Kavya vidhi is here learning is in an artistic form. This is education through entertainment. So this is people who are in the art form of school can definitely apply this. Okay. Khatha vidhi, nowadays storytelling has become a very important aspect even for engineering courses. Huh? So storytelling method is a best way of learning because as a child I remember my mother used to tell me a lot of stories to make me understand how important the moral values are. So now you can do it even for students to remember, because if you see the machine learning or the deep learning models, they have so many aspects to it, from pre-processing to their final representation of the output of it. So if I tell them in a story form, it becomes for them to easy to remember what are the intermediate steps, and how they can also implement the same. The next one is the Kosha Vidhi. This is referred to as a reference study, as in a flow of a dictionary. So that in you don't understand one particular aspect, it is there in a book. So you go back to the book, you see how it happens, and then you come back and see now whether you understand it better. Okay. So these were some of it. The remaining it is Manana Vidhi. It's a process of assimilation, differentiation, elaboration, where you do a self kind of study. Okay. Prashna Vidhi is you question yourself, where you try to become more aware of the knowledge what you have. You write answers to the question which has raised to you. You find the answers to the questions which you have come to you, and this is how Prashna Vidhi can come in. Okay, Pravachana Vidhi is a learning to learn. Yeah, is one of the very vital importance here, because it has two dimension. Because you're learning to learn means you're learning as well as teaching. Teachers see, one time when you teach a course, maybe if it's a new course, first time you will not be good at it, but second time when you teach the same course, you would have got so much of knowledge, you teach much better, you would know what is the lacuna which was created in the previous delivery method, and you correct it. So that is pravachana vidhi. Okay. Samasya Vidhi is to attempt to train the mind by looking into the real problems. Yeah, like they say, for social responsibility, you please go back to the society, do projects which are more useful to the society. When will they do it? Only when they make an attempt, to look into the real problem of what is happening. Yeah, and this is referred to as an inductive method. Okay. So like this, I think Shastra Adhigamana Vidhi are they're self-explanatory. You can definitely go through it. I think I will skip this slide so that you don't forget the essence of what I wanted to say. So the others are just to list: Shravana Vidhi, Swadhyayana Vidhi, Tatparya Vidhi, and Vada Vidhi, where there's a discussion method. So we say no brainstorming. So it's not that brainstorming was from the West. We already had the Vada Vidhi. Yeah. Only thing is we didn't know that we were using the brainstorming without the knowledge of telling that our culture actually had already mentioned about it. Okay. So the third dimension was the last, in fact, of the fourth category, where third for my engineering course, of course, Vyavahara Vidhi, and that is the Abhyasa Vidhi. Now this is all on practice method. There's sometimes you require a mastery over the knowledge which you have gained. Yeah. Anukarana Vidhi is the elimination method. From the pedagogy point of view, it is very similar. It is very similar to your simulation method. Let's say you're doing something on computer network where you want to see how one packet goes from one system to another. Like how right now Google Meet is happening. I can't really show you. I can only simulate and show you. I can use some software which is in my hand, show you via simulation. Oh yeah, see, a machine is there. You click on the send button, it gets connected to the URL, it goes to the browser. You need an internet connection which is stable. All this you'll be able to explain. Then come in case you're unable to show it with touch and feel. So there's always a simulation method. Okay. Avalokana Vidhi is on observation method, where you observe on how others like how especially engineering course, teacher training is not compulsory. I was never trained to teach. I only saw my senior teachers teaching. I went through some videos because I wanted to be best on my field when I teach. I didn't want to be wrong at any point. Of course, I've done mistake, but still, I wanted that thing, that I go as where I deliver something where my students are interested to listen to me. So this can happen only through avalokana. So if you don't have any skill set which can be mastered or trained, then you do an observation and see how best teachers around the globe have taught the subject. For my computer network class, I always go with a motherboard. Yeah, students get so fascinated. They're like, what is this madam doing there? I tell them, see, this is a slot for your RAM, this is a slot. Then they will ask you so many questions. Ma'am, can you show it on the laptop? They're very, very bright. In laptop, I cannot show. Then I have to break open it completely. But then I can always show the inner design because I have a tie-up with the company, which is a networking company. So they've shown me the pictures. I share the pictures on my PPT as like how you're doing now. So this Avalokana Vidhi are of two kinds. One is Swavalokana, that is introspection, and one is Paralokana, which is external inspection. Uh, when you're doing an observation method, you have to be careful on understanding how you are actually how you are taking it. The other one is you can discuss with others, that is pravalokana, where you discuss, see, this teacher did this, so if I do it in my class, in case you're in doubt, you can always ask your senior faculty and find out whether this method will suit the best. The last one is a Krida Vidhi. There's a role play which they say no in English term. So that is nothing but the Krida Vidhi, which is a pedagogical term. And here, it is fun where students, demonstrate on how packets go from one end to another end. They see, they tell you how in sequence it can go, how in parallel it can go, how many devices they require. They understand the details when they do it with Krida Vidhi. Okay, so these were the kind of methods which are available. So among the 40 few, I have discussed most of it. Remaining of it, you can definitely, refer to my reference list and you can do it. One from Mahabharatam is the Vidra Nitihi. Okay, this is the shloka. Acharyat Padam Adate. Yeah, I'm sure most of you would probably know it also. Padam Shishyaha Swamebhaya. Padam Sabramacharibhyaha. Padam Kala Kramenacha. Now, what does this mean? A student only learns one-fourth from the guru. So, even if you're teaching, however good you are, he learns only one-fourth of the content from you. The remaining one-fourth he learns by himself. Okay, and the next quarter he learns from his peer, that is from his friends he learns, and the last quarter he learns gradually with time. So don't be under the assumption that if you're teaching a deep learning course, you have to learn, teach them everything in deep learning. It's not going to be possible. You give them the feel that the subject is going to be good journey to sail through and learn. That learning confidence you should give the child. That's all you can do. Other one-fourth, anyway, he would have done it himself. The remaining one-fourth, anyway, his peer would have taught him. So that takes care of it, and gradually with time he learns. So with this background, coming back to your index learning style, yeah, so this was the active reflexive one axis, the other one is your visual verbal, the next one is sensing intuitive, and the last one was your sequential and global. The first time when I did, I could not do it with my undergraduate course, so I did it with my post graduation students who are 14 in number. Okay, so I'm showing you the response from them. Okay, so if you see 14, how do I get this 14? See, I have 7 plus 2 plus 5. So one single row, when you add all the numbers, you get 14. So all 14 had responded, and among them, 7 were active learners. Okay, uh, two of them were the reflexive learner of lower scale, and 5 of were reflexive learner of higher scale. But again, 7 of them were also reflexive learners. Okay, the other one is visual learners. So if you see, majority of my class were visual learners. You see, 13 of them were visual learners, where 9 were strong in it. 4 scored only 4 in that, and 1 was a verbal learner in my class. Sensing, 11 were the sensors, sensing learners who sense and understand things better. Out of them, 7, they scored, 7 of them scored 7, where they were high on sensing. Only 4 got scored the 4, and intuitive were only 3. If you see the global learner, in this particular class, I had more of global learners. In fact, 50% plus 1. So 8 of them were global learners, and 6 of them were the sequential learners. So from this index, minimum score is 1, maximum score is 11, and it is alert if it is greater than or equal to 7. It means to say that you have to address your class based on, the 7 numbers. So you see that I have got 7 here, 9 here, 7 here, and 7 here. So I knew that I have to do some activity for the class. Yeah, they like activity based. They were more visual, so I need to be more, put more PPT, give them some visuals where they understood better. So for visual, what I did is I introduced NPTEL course. I will tell you what I did for that. And for sensing, I did, my course was also like that, so I could implement all of this. And I had more of global learners. So this was a response of my post graduation students. The following year, I applied it for my undergraduate students, where 112 took the course, and I made my other 2 peer teachers who also take the course. So 3 of us took the course, and I told them, you please apply this method in your class. I will monitor it, because they were not doing this postdoc study like me, right? So I gave them the inputs, and I made 2 of my colleagues do along with me, and we got a list like this, and we accumulated it, and I got to know how many active learners, how many, reflective, sensitive, sensing learners were there, or sequential or global learners were there. Okay, and also what I did is, you remember the methods you should give to the model. Other than the student input on their learning style, you should also tell which are my teaching style. So I put, because it was computer network language for the UG course, I put simulation, problem solving, discussion group, brainstorming, question, experiments, Q&A, presentation, case based. So these were some of the methods I gave as an input for the methods which can be applied for a given course. So this was my interface for my teaching learning recommender style. So where I choose my class strength, and based on that, whatever the marks they scored based on the 4 axes, that I would have entered here. And when I say a go, it tells that these are my recommended teaching style for the whole class. Okay, and my students preferred active, visual, and sequential model. So if I can address of these 3, and I got 3 methods, at least in 1 hour class, can I apply one of it, is what you should take care out of that 40-50 hours which you go. So this recommender system would give that, and it was very, very effective. Okay, so now what did I do for my PG course, which was an Internet of Things course? Because they were, if you remember, they were more visual learners. I asked them to take the NPTEL exam. One way, I also promoted that it is, our own platform. Bharat platform where NPTEL, and they're really nice. And they also learned a part of the course, because unit 3 and 4 I ensured that it was from NPTEL content. So they had no choice but to go through the course. The second thing what I did is I guided, completely handheld, three students, uh, and gave them the complete interaction of how IoT components work. Okay. Now these three students were asked them to train the remaining of the subgroups, and they had to demonstrate on in the lab on how these IoT components can be done. So 14 took the ILS, yeah, but only 13 gave the feedback after the ILS style. After I get to know the class, we took the feedback on whether the NPTEL course peer learning actually helped. Okay, so these were the results. Anukarana Vidhi they had done, right. So they were very happy about it. I had also used Think Pair Share, Avalokana, Sahavasa, and Shravana. This is nothing but you think per share, which is in our terms, and you see that 92% actually liked the course. They liked what we did. And our Anukarana, because they were seeing, how the teacher is trying to induce different kind of learning methods than just the blackboard method. Of course, PG students are more mature, but still, it helped to relate that students actually appreciate all of these. For my UG course, as I said, I had taken computer networks, and we took the ILS course, where 112 gave the survey, and ILS result was submitted only by 96, and we did the evaluation for 96 students. So my data set was small, but still, it was a good study for us, and we had applied. How was the performance before the first test and after the first test. This is a survey we had done, and we found that predominantly they were more interested in the course. They never found computer networks hard. Some of the times, they find it very huge, so they were not able to do well. So if you see, even before the test, they did not score a very good course. But then after they got interested, it's not that our teaching went very high, very well and all, but because we had put them into groups, we gave them some activities, they were able to like the subjects. So that's why I keep telling my junior faculty also, please enjoy what you are doing, motivate the students, to like the subjects. Your work is done. Yeah. So they will anyway do it. So that was a good thing for us. So this was the conclusion from my study. So we were able to experiment on the indigenous method. Only learning ability, we had to take the western method, and ILS was a good handy to conclude the work. And it's a very promising method, which will help you to relate learning style with the teaching style. These are my UG students, and this is my PG students whom I worked. And this is Hariharan, who had written the paper. He did it as his, MTech thesis work also, which was appreciated by many. My acknowledgement to my professor, late Shri Professor KB Akhilesh, who was my supervisor in Indian Institute of Science. My special thanks to Dr. Suresh, who was a professor in Mysore University, who gave me those 51 learning methods. He came over to Bangalore. I went to Mysore. We did a good discussion. My place where I work, who was always encouraging, except for my starting sorry trouble, principal had called for an urgent meeting and he wanted me on board. He didn't know that I had a talk, so sorry for that. But otherwise, BMS is of a great support here to me. My other two colleagues whom I was telling you, Dr. Nandini Vineet and Rekha, who helped me in getting 112 to do the task. Yeah. To do the work, I had visited Veda Vignana Gurukula, Maitri Gurukula, and Arbindo Ashram, and that gave me a better insight and confidence that I was doing something very close to my heart, because all the way teaching, I wanted you to do it a right way, and that was a very supportive thing. Okay. So that's it. These are some of the reference which I'll anyway share it with you if you are interested. uh, that's it. You can always mail back to me anytime, and in case it interests you, I'll be very happy to guide you in case you think I will be able to do that. I can take questions now. There are some chat box. Anything? Yeah.
Very
So
new.
Hindi, please.
Yes, very nice session, madam. These all are new things for us, matlab, as far as me is concerned.
Okay.
But it was a nice work. Math means how computer and engineering inculcated in our Bharatiya Sanskriti and everything. It was a wonderful. So, from where you got this idea, ma'am?
Ma'am, because it was my self-driven idea.
Okay.
Uh, because I was into teaching way back then, I had just 16 years of experience. I was like, everybody is doing, we are getting higher degrees uh, in the same field. Why engineering? When I started, it was COBOL, but now I'm teaching is Python. Now Go language is there. Every
Hmm.
other 2 years, technology is growing, but I am seeing the deterioration of values in my students. Am I doing wrong? Am I doing my work properly? Was a question, big time question. And Macaulay's education was the one.
Yes.
There was a book which I read on how the English methodology of teaching, how there was a disturbance in our education system, which was actually very very respected.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when I was going through the scripts that time, because I keep reading books, probably it's that's when it triggered my thoughts, and I went to Akhilesh sir, whose father had started the Veda Vignan Maitri Gurukula in Dakshin Kannada Jille. And that school is very different. Students don't write in the class book. They all sit under the tree. Their holiday is only on during Amavasya and full moon day. It is according to the chakras and all that.
Yes.
There
Yes.
is no Sunday holiday like how we all have. And that moved my thoughts on, am I doing the right thing? So that's how it started, ma'am.
Okay. Great work, madam. Wonderful.
Yeah, I hope I have, you know, uh, given you some information, and it's
Yes. Pramod sir, any question?
Yeah, yeah. It was very nice and informative, and a novel one also. I just want to ask a question, ma'am.
yes, sir.
From which book you had taken all these vidhis that you
Sir,
mentioned also? Uh,
yeah, sir, those are from all Upanishads, sir. There are so many Upanishads, but I basically took from Dr. Suresh's thesis, PhD thesis, which had covered all from Mahabharat, Ramayana, from Mandoka Upanishad, is the major source of all these techniques which are there. So you can
yeah,
go
yeah.
through that, sir. I put them in
This
my
I just
reference.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to have to know that if it is also available in English or any other language as such, or is it,
Uh,
or they are all available in Sanskrit only,
It is
or
available
any
on.
other?
It's available in Sanskrit. Sir's work is available in Sanskrit, and he's written in Kannada because my
Yeah,
mother tongue is also Kannada. I could follow his thesis, and because he was there with me, whenever I had a doubt, I would go back to him and understand what he meant by that source of, uh, you know, what that
yeah.
shloka meant. Because I would not get convinced very easily, so he had a tough time during my study.
So because the teachers who are not knowing Sanskrit or even Kannada or any other language,
Yes, sir.
they are good at English, or
Correct, sir.
it is good for them,
Yeah.
easily available. If it is available in English,
Yeah.
we
So
can
now you have,
also.
yeah, definitely. It's available in Sanskrit, but you can always use a translator. Uh, at least 70% accuracy you get out of the translator. Remaining of it, you have to really take care. So you may go wrong when you get translated,
Yeah, yeah.
because our Sanskrit is so rich language, no, sir? But anyway, I'll
Another,
find out. Nobody has written
yeah,
in
yeah.
English as such.
This another thing we during UG and PG also we talk of Bloom's taxonomy.
Yes, sir.
So Bloom's taxonomy, it also is considered with various aspects of teaching learning.
Correct, sir.
So how
L1,
far?
L2. Huh.
Yeah,
These are
yeah,
all on your L3, L4, L5 can be easily addressed. Apply, analyze, and
yeah.
design to create level to L6. They can be easily applied. But then Bloom's taxonomy is
Hello.
to basically evaluate how, the method which you have
Hello.
applied for evaluating the student.
It's evaluating
It's the
evaluation.
evaluation
Hello,
method.
madam. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
So here I'm not talking about the evaluation method. Here I'm talking to see how I can motivate my students in my classroom. So Bloom's level is there, but it will definitely help you to go at least to apply analyze level, and it will bring you there. The students will be able to answer them better. That was would be the challenge.
One more question is that, madam, there you practice it on your students who
Yeah.
belong to the same age group,
Yes, sir.
wherein, but in the case if we have a student category of different age group, uh, so in many of the courses it happens in UG and PG, as I am teaching in Gandhian thought, my student age group is from 21 years to 80 years. So
Okay.
in that case, how far this index learning style will have an impact?
Sir, age group is immaterial, sir. I'll tell you why. Because 80 years would be anyway more matured. They would know what is to be done. But still, they also will have a learning style, no, sir. The learning style doesn't depend on age.
Hmm.
I am more of a auditory learner. You
Yeah.
make me listen to it, I'm more happy. When I see a moving picture and all, I get confused.
Hmm.
So my learning style, whether I'm in 80 or 18, it is the same. So age doesn't matter here at all, sir. So you will anyway get to know the learning style, and based on
Yeah.
that you can tell which is the teaching style. Yeah, I have some more questions, sir. Can I take it from others?
Yeah, yeah. Most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Ranita ma'am, you have raised
Yes,
your hand.
madam,
Yeah,
thank you for your wonderful presentation.
yeah.
मैडम वो बुक
Thank you.
आपने जो बुक का नाम बताया ना, उसका नाम फिर से एक बार बताइए ना. वो सुरेश.
Which मैम वो बुक नहीं है, वो उनका थीसिस है। वो वेद
अच्छा.
विज्ञान गुरुकुल बेंगलुरु में मिल जाएगा आपको। यहाँ यहाँ नहीं तो आप सुरेश सर को कांटेक्ट करना है, और नहीं तो वेद विज्ञान गुरुकुल में हार्ड बुक्स होगा। वो सॉफ्ट बाइंडेड में हमारे जैसे यूनिवर्सिटी में मिलता है ना, वैसे नहीं मिलता है मैडम वो।
अच्छा,
बट
अच्छा.
वो पार्ट ऑफ इट, वो आपको गूगल करने से हमारे ज्ञानशोध, और अब तो आईकेएस का भी बहुत वेबसाइट उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा से रचना किया है उसका। सो वहाँ पे तो आपका लोकल लैंग्वेज तो में मिल जाएगा। हमारे कॉलेज के पास रामकृष्ण आश्रम है। आश्रम में तो बहुत सारे मंडोपी का उपनिषद का बुक्स भी मिलता है। आई एम श्योर रामकृष्ण आश्रम बुक्स
Yes,
स्टोर
yes.
वुड बी अ
I
राइट।
want to know the primary literature. Is it only Mandukya
No,
Upanishad
ma'am,
or
many
else?
places. Sir has collected it from many. Majority was from Mandokya Upanishad, Mahabharatam. Mahabharatam, he has taken major of it. Sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
no
you.
problem.
Anyone else?
If they have no more question, over to you, Preeti ma'am.
Yes, yes. Oh, wonderful session, madam. And it's a new part for all of us. And you have explained in a very nice manner. So, thank you so much, madam, once again from all the participants. I extend my heartfelt thanks to respected Kavita, madam, for giving your valuable time in spite of your meeting schedule earlier.
I'm
So,
so sorry about it.
no,
It was
thank you.
not known to me, and principal
Okay.
sir called. I could not
Yeah.
receive. I could
So,
not.
thank you so much, madam, once again for giving an
Thank you.
interesting
Thank
session.
you all.
Thank you. Good day,
Namaste.
madam. Namaste.
Good day.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thanks,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
थैंक यू मैम।
थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स। यहाँ पे आप थोड़ा सा 5 मिनट का